Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and welcome to our episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for today comes from Sam, and it is, what do you think about an operator in Rainbow Six Siege that can place two dummy operators to place as decoys? Now, I fully admit the first time I read this comment, I thought it was absurd. The idea of just whipping out a gigantic dummy operator that you can then place on the ground just out of your back pocket sounds ridiculous. That said though, there's a lot of things in this game that are ridiculous. I mean, we pull out giant reinforcements that we then place on the wall. Why not have a giant dummy size operator that will act as a distraction? And so with that in mind, this is actually a really interesting concept. You place one of these down on the objective, the enemy charges on in, you're hiding behind a crate, they fire at your dummy, you know exactly where they are because they just fired their weapon, you pop on out and hopefully we'll get an easy headshot. Even if you're not hiding behind anything, if the enemy comes in and they don't know that it's a dummy, they now have two targets to look at. If they accidentally shoot at the wrong one or it causes them to fluster and they miss the shots against you, that split second will give you enough time to hopefully come out of it alive. Now, the biggest weakness of this guy, I would imagine, is just simply droning the objective. If you know that there's a dummy in the right-hand corner, you're not going to be fooled by it. But even then, you could even use that to your advantage. If they drone in, you know that they know that that's a dummy, well, you could then mosey on over to your dummy and then just kind of shoot from that position. They're not going to look in that corner, assuming that no one's there because the dummy's there, and then you could maybe catch them by surprise as well. There'd be a lot of mind games that you could play. And so in general, while this does sound ridiculous, it is an interesting concept. I truly do believe that it would slightly change the way that we attack and defend the objective. Ubisoft constantly says that every time they bring in new operators, they want to change up the meta, they want to change the way that we play the game, and while I don't think that this would be a dramatic shift by any stretch of the imagination, you would second guess yourself constantly, and I do think it would have at least a slight impact. That said though, I'm not 100% sold on it right now. I don't know if I want to have an operator brought in that has these capabilities, but I also would not be surprised if Ubisoft, especially if they want to hit that 50 to 100 operator mark in the next couple of years, if they eventually added something like this into the future. The next question comes from Brian, and it is, what do you think about an attacking operator that had the ability to hack the defender's cameras, where the operator can hack into the cameras and use them as a secondary drone to spot the enemies? So I answered this question about a year ago in a past Sunday Mailbox, but apparently no one's seen that video because I am constantly bombarded with this operator suggestion. This has to be the most requested operator idea that I've ever gotten for Sunday Mailbox. It seems like every other question is this operator concept. And so this is gonna be the final time I talk about this operator idea, but I basically wanted to address this just to kind of stop the flood of these suggestions. And so with all that in mind, clearly there are a lot of people that like the idea of having an operator that is able to hack into enemy cameras. And conceptually that sounds really cool. I mean, the name of the game of Rainbow Six Siege is gathering information, and how cool would it be if you could turn one of the enemy's gadgets into your own and then take advantage of it? That sounds like a really cool idea. The main reason why I don't like this idea though is that the only way for defenders to counter this operator is to destroy your own cameras. You can't do anything against it. Like, they know where you are. If there's a camera on the objective room, you're gonna want to take this thing out because the enemy operator is gonna have clear intelligence of everything that's going on inside. That doesn't really sit well with me. And while I'm sure that some people might make the argument that if this operator is able to get defense to destroy all of their cameras, then mission accomplished. Like, that's gonna put defense at a disadvantage. They no longer have that valuable tool. They no longer can gather information that way, and that's a good thing. Well, the counter argument to that is, well, why not just play as Twitch then? Twitch can use her drone to just go around the entire map at the very beginning, even before the round starts, and take out practically all of the cameras by herself, and she still has drones that she can use for other aspects of the match. She can take out gadgets, she can open up mirrors, windows, and things of that nature, and she's not just useless like this guy would be as soon as there's no more cameras available. And so that's one big reason. The other reason why I don't really like it is, how would you actually hack the cameras? Do you need line of sight on them? Because if you need to actually see the camera and then maybe shoot something at it, well, the enemy, if they're actually looking at the camera, already knows that you're in the room because they saw you in the camera itself, and they're probably going to be able to kill you regardless. And if you're already in the room, why do you need the camera? Like, you could already use your drone. If you can use it on the outside of the building, that just seems like it may be pushing things too far. I mean, once again, this is just my opinion, and clearly people really like the idea, but if you're able just to kind of look at all of the cameras on the map at all times, either it's going to be really powerful because you're going to be able to see exactly what the enemy is doing, or it's just going to be completely useless because the enemy is just going to destroy their own gadgets. And so all in all, while I know that I'm probably in the minority here, I just don't like the idea of having a hacking operator add into Rainbow Six Siege. Unless I'm missing something, maybe he could be a counter to Valkyrie, he could peer into her cameras and see what's going on, but we already have a direct counter to Valkyrie, which is IQ and Thatcher and just simply looking around in your environments. And so with all those things in mind, I just don't really think that this is necessary. The next question comes from Cameron, and it is, what do you think about a system in Rainbow Six Siege where if you're not there to pick your operator at the start of the round, you can pick 6 at the main menu and it will default to one of those instead of recruits? Now, I have heard this suggestion bounce around sometime because it seems like a reasonable request. Life happens when you're playing Rainbow Six Siege. It doesn't just stop when you get into a rank game. Every once in a while, you might need to go to the bathroom, or hey, someone just knocked at your door, you need to go figure out who the hell it is, and sometimes the spawn screen's gonna come back up, and you need to pick an operator. And so it makes sense to have a system in place where you could select at least top 6 of your favorite operators, and it's gonna choose them based off of what your teammates choose. That seems reasonable. The reason why I don't think that Ubisoft is ever going to do something like this, though, is that while it doesn't really incentivize you to go AFK, it kind of does incentivize you to go AFK. If you die at the start of the round, you should be communicating with your teammates, making callouts through drones, and trying to help them win the round. If you die and you know that you're gonna be fine at the spawn screen, you know that you're gonna be able to pick an operator because of the system, you might be more likely to go into the other room. You might be more likely to go do something else and come back to your screen. If I had to take a guess, there would be a lot more people going AFK in the middle of a round. Not just as soon as they die, you're no longer gonna call outs there, but also there's gonna be some residual effects into the next very round. Let's say they get Jaeger, for example. He might just sit there AFK because he's in another room. He doesn't know exactly when the next match is gonna start, but he's confident he's gonna have this operator, and so he's probably not gonna have as much time to set up, and it's just gonna cause some problems. And so while I fully understand where you're coming from, like, it does not seem like an unreasonable request. As I mentioned, life happens. Your entire life does not revolve around Rainbow Six Siege. It's for those reasons why I would be a bit surprised if Ubisoft did this, because I just think that there would be a lot more AFK problems than we already have. The next question comes from Noah, and it is, do you think that they should buff Jaeger by giving him more ADS or by increasing the capacity of the 3 that he has? This would be a good way to counter Glaz and his smokes. I don't know if I would agree with that. Jaeger is already one of the most popular and powerful operators in Rainbow Six Siege. He's got a fantastic weapon that hits like a truck, he's got one of the better gadgets as well, and he has barbed wire. I'm actually surprised when the defensive team doesn't have a Jaeger. Like, it's actually surprising that occurs because of his popularity. And so I know that there has been some talk about buffing Hubba's gadget, mainly to counter Fuse. I'm a bit surprised by your smoke and Glaz counter, because honestly, Jaeger is a good counter against Glaz and that smoke tactic. I mean, as long as he's placed them correctly, Glaz is gonna have a hard time positioning those things down. But against Fuse, it's kind of a different story. And so while I do know why people want it, I just don't think that he needs an upgrade because he already is one of the best operators in the game right now. What I would love to see is to bring in a new operator that kind of works like Jaeger, that somehow counters grenades somehow. I know that would be challenging because how else are you going to be able to counter grenades, but I believe in Ubisoft, they're creative, they could think of something, or have an existing operator get a buff where they have some sort of counter. One idea that I really like is buffing Castle's barricades. If you barricade a window or a door, Fuse can no longer use his cluster charge on that door. That would be a massive buff. Sure, it doesn't actually impact normal grenades, but it would be one way of at least stopping Fuse from absolutely dominating some of these objectives. And so while I understand where you're coming from, I just don't think that Jaeger needs a buff. He's amazing, he's absolutely fantastic, and I really do think that Ubisoft should come up with some other ideas to try to limit the power of grenades. But yeah, guys, that has been it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we discussed in today's video. Do you think that Jaeger's gadget needs an upgrade? Would you rather Castle maybe get a buff? Let me know down below in the comments. As always, if you would like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can also leave a comment down below or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.